That's a story I already knew, but in this documentary, it just gives you that little bit extra. Where when Oliver Hardy died, Stan Laurel was at his bedside holding his hand, and he never appeared on screen again because he didn't feel that Stan Laurel was anything without Oliver Hardy. Legends, superstars, Coins Agers, welcome back to a new episode here on Coins Age Media. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart. We've got to the end of the Laurel and Hardy box set, and this is a tribute to the boys from 1991. And I was very, very tempted when I bought this box set to actually watch this at the very beginning, but I'm glad I left it to the end because it was so much more impactful after watching all the movies directly through the box set, then hitting this at the very end. Again, there's a lot of the stuff in this box set I've seen before, but there's a lot of shorts and pre-teaming up things in there that I didn't see before. And this was a genuine pleasure to sit and watch this here. It was presented by Dom DeLuise, who was an excellent choice to do a documentary presented about Laurel and Hardy as him in movies throughout the 70s and 80s. Was very, very much influenced, I found, in his comedy stylings from Laurel and Hardy. So, it was perfect for him doing the tribute. It had, of course, that's a tribute to the boys, so there's a lot of extracts from the majority of their films, most of them in colour. Now, I would have kind of preferred it if all the clips that they showed of Laurel and Hardy were the black and white versions. I don't know, it feels... this box set has got a lot of the colorized versions, but I tended to stick with the original black and white. It just felt more authentic that way. There's a lot of comments on here from celebrity interviewees such as Johnny Carson, Rich Little, Walter Matthau, Steve Allen, Blake Edwards, Henry Youngman, Chuck McGann, Robert Klein, the Dick Brothers, Tom Smollers, Erwin Corey, Dick Martin, and Bronson Pinoche, I want to say. Probably butchered his name completely. But yes, it was such a good documentary on them, from their early careers, where they came from, their whole backstory. Stanley coming to America, changing his name. Oliver, him growing up, getting into the movie business, working for Harroch Studios, and, bit parts in other movies. And, it seemed to be more so on Stanley's part was a real struggle for him to hit the big time in comedy. And what he really needed was a partner. And Oliver was pretty much in the same boat, but I think he was kind of able to carry himself a little bit better as a solo artist back at the beginning. But of course, eventually they got teamed up as Laurel and Hardy, and both of them had the big time. And throughout all these little interviews and snippets of information Dom DeLuise is giving you, we're seeing movie scenes, of course, and talking about things that happened throughout their careers. And there was stories of them when they came to England on their tour, that whenever the boat docked, Stan and Ollie seen this crowd coming, and they thought that there was royalty of some sort on the ship, and not realising that the crowds had actually gathered to see Laurel and Hardy arrive. And it was just nice to see that kind of genuineness in those two guys, that they, no matter how famous they got, they were still just two ordinary people at the end of the day. That's the way they seen themselves. And when they were coming down the the, the gangway off the boat, Stanley had said that the crowds lifted him up onto his shoulders and started carrying him. And he looked across at Oliver, and Oliver looked back at them, and the two of them just burst into tears. And it's just genuineness. It was just so good. Like, and we've all seen the new version of the Stan and Ollie story with Steve Coogan as Stan Laurel and John C. Reilly as Oliver Hardy, and it tells that story well. Their final tour, and their little bit of trouble that they had on it, and at the very end of the movie, I do believe I said it within the interview for it itself. There was something about, for me personally, having grown up with these movies. There's a sequence in there where John C. Reilly as Oliver Hardy. They're meant to be doing an opening at a fashion show event, sort of a thing, and at this point in the film, Stan and Ollie aren't getting along too well, and it's when Oliver's heart starts giving him problems, and as he tries to walk onto the stage, he collapses on the steps. Now, for me, that was a really, really emotional, hard scene for me to watch, because I believe, if memory serves, I said it in that review that for some reason, like we're living in an era where, we've got all the superhero movies and TV shows and whatnot, and take Endgame for example, like Tony Stark dying at the end of that there. I was more affected by Stan and Ollie than I was of that, and I'm a huge geek, nerd, Iron Man fan, but there was something about seeing Oliver Hardy falling those steps, even though it was John C. Reilly playing Oliver Hardy. There was just something about it, because there was, for years you've seen them in movies, and the stuff that they went through, the physical comedy, falling off houses into ponds and stuff, and getting up and just dusting themselves off. It's just seeing that Oliver Hardy following those steps, and then in the final sequence of the movie, when they're doing their final comedy routine, you see him again struggling, and by the end of that film, like, I have watched it countless times so far, and each time I get emotional, and even now thinking about it, I can feel myself starting to slightly well up a wee bit. It's ridiculous, but at the end of that film, it does tell you what happened at the very end, and it's just text on screen. And the year Oliver Hardy died, and the years after that there, Stan Laurel continued to write comedy sketches for Laurel and Hardy, but he never appeared on screen again. And that's a story I already knew, but in this documentary it just gives you that little bit extra, where when Oliver Hardy died, Stan Laurel was at his bedside holding his hand, and he never appeared on screen again because he didn't feel that Stan Laurel was anything without Oliver Hardy. Absolutely beautiful, breathtaking documentary about the career. And I am getting emotional just thinking about it. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of the box set. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do another little video tomorrow as like a final thoughts thing for the entire box set. And yes, hopefully I'll not be quite as emotionally charged and weepy as I am right now. But that was just, it was unbelievable just watching. Like, it's a story, as I say, I already knew, but presented in a way that just, very, very personal to them. And the people that were interviewed on there had a genuine respect for Oliver Hardy and Stan Laurel. And I don't think the world is ever going to know a comedy duo as good as those guys again.